Chong Li, the current champ.
He's never been defeated. Holds awesome records, including the fastest KO. He killed a guy during the last Kumite.
Yep, kicked the poor bastard right in the throat. I died right there on the platform. Chong Li stood there and watched him die.
Welcome back to Thinking Critical. This is Wes, and we're right in the middle of Dark Knight's Death Metal. We're kind of at the halfway mark. We just got issue number 3. I believe they're taking a month off, releasing some anthologies, some other specials like that before Death Metal picks up again. So I wanted to talk to one of my comic retail experts, maybe what the buzz is about it, what he thinks about the story. And here with me to talk about that is the comic book angel himself, Larry from Larry's Comics. How you doing?
Hey, Wes, thanks for having me on the show. Don't need to shock you, but Death Metal was the number one selling book in my shop this week. So I would imagine that translates to worldwide. I mean, this is the alpha dog in the industry right now. A little frustrating with the pandemic and DC switching distributors. I don't think there's going to be any print run numbers on it, but we can extrapolate. Snyder's first Death Metal series started off around 250,000 copies and wound down around 150. So this one's got to be the same. I bet you it's selling, I would imagine, over 100,000 units.
They look dynamite. They're kind of chromium. You got that wonderful look to them that you'll never get with Marvel nowadays.
Yeah, the Marvel prints on toilet paper, and DC prints on precious metal cover stock. I mean, the A covers are the ones that, have the long-term longevity. They're the ones that customers end up seeking out. I mean, they just look beautiful. Do I know what's going on in the books? I don't really have a fucking clue. I mean, but it commands your attention. It's Scott Snyder. It's a cool superhero dark storyline with all these dark versions of characters. But honestly, I got a grasp on it, man. But I don't know, kind of lost.
So how are the sales on all the ancillary titles? Your Death Metal, Legends of the Dark Knights, some of the other anthologies, are those doing well as well? How about the tie-in series?
We only have, there's only one out right now. It's the Death Metal Dark Knights one shot. And that book didn't have metal cover, and it was $1 more. It was $5.99. And I think retailers in this pandemic era, I noticed on my pre-orders, customers didn't pre-order that book because it was an extra $1. And that book had the first appearance of the Robin King in it, and it's a $25 book. It's already gone to second printing and rumored to third printing. The sales on that for me were fantastic. And next week there's a Dark Multiverse guidebook, which I blew it. I really ordered light on it, and so I'm going to be out of that instantly. But I did really well with the Dark Knight one shot. It was the most profitable book that I had for 2020 so far. I sold a ton of them, but I ordered a ton of them.
And you didn't even raise the cover price, right?
Oh, not at retail level. I never raised the cover price of a normal issue book until 7 days. For 30 years, I've never raised the price of a normal issue book. I don't believe that comic shop should do that. We're retailing. We're the bridge between publishers and the customer. You have to have a place a portal where the fans can come in and buy in at cover price. I actually give people a discount too, so they're less. My shop policy is the books stay on sale at cover price for 7 days till the next cycle, and I limit them to 2 per family or group. I do sell online at extremely inflated prices, whatever the market is. I mean, that's one of the major revenue streams for my shop is online sales. I've never quite understood who these people are online who are willing to pay, these prices for books the week they come out. But I can't, as a business owner, I can't ignore that. I mean, that's huge for me. It's important.
Obviously, the sales are really good. Me personally, I am not vibing Dark Knight's Death Metal all that much. I think it looks amazing. There's a lot of big ideas. It seems to be exposition heavy. And another thing that's bothering me, the coolest part about Dark Knight's Metal, obviously the very first one, was the Dark Knights themselves. These weird versions of Bruce Wayne that are, where he stole the speed force from the Flash, where he got his hand on a Green Lantern ring when his parents died, and it corrupted the ring. They had these really cool one-shot origin stories, which I thought were better than anything in the mainline series as far as that story goes, even though it was pretty good. but we're not really getting any of that because he's created so many of these weird versions of Batman, and there's no room for him. And then they're not playing like key roles in the story. Like the little Batum guy, he had a good joke, and then he died. All the Dark Knights that he initially introduces in issue number 1, they all died in issue number 2. In issue number 3, we see Batside of Batman's Dark Side mashup, which should be one of the most powerful characters in the history of DC Comics, and he's defeated in like 2 pages.
I think Scott Snyder started out to create an action figure line. Every character in Death Metal makes a better action figure than it makes for comic books. I thought that the dark versions of Batman was incredibly, I don't know, derived and generic, and I could never, as a fan, I could never get into them. And I was blown away at how fandom had embraced them and how popular they were. I just thought it was very simple, overly simplistic. The Joker who laughs. I mean, a Joker version of fucking Bruce Wayne. I mean,
the way I described it, it was what I would come up with as a 5th grader sitting at the lunch table with my moron friends. And we're like, you know what would be cooler than Batman? Batman and Joker like mixed together. And like, yeah, that would be
what
neat.
about a Batman Dr. Manhattan?
What about a Batman dinosaur or a Batman monster truck? Batman Castle, you know. It's like...
Scott, team up with Todd McFarlane Toys and do a line of Death Metal action figures. I mean, fucking this entire book is just designed for that. Every single character would make the ultimate McFarlane toy. I mean, visually, cool as shit. As a storyline, I mean, it's above my pay grade. I don't get it.
It's crazy. Like I said, in the original series, those characters played a big part in the story. And here it feels like he's just making stuff to show off or kind of brag, like, hey, look, I did this and this, and he's just murdering them off immediately. Harley
Quinn's got a Swamp Thing hammer.
Oh
yeah, toy. Make a great toy. I don't know. I love Scott. I love Greg Capullo. I love all the characters that these are based on. I should be enjoying the book story more than I am. I think it's too complex. It's a visual treat. I love looking at it. I like the designs, but I don't get it, man. I don't know.
It's not as fun as you would hope. You know, when you describe what Death Metal is supposed to be, it doesn't feel like it's as fun as you would have anticipated. But it is, like you said, it is a visual treat. Although the worst part is, Larry, coming out of Death Metal or Dark Knight's Metal, the big character that kind of blew up was the Batman Who Laughs, the Batman Joker mashup. We got a miniseries. You know, he was going all over the DC universe. I think he was the kind of like one of the big characters in Batman, Superman. It was kind of all been leading to this, and I feel like he is Agent Smith from the Matrix. Remember how he was?
Yep.
He was a cool villain, and then they kind of broke him, and he became so powerful that he became obnoxious, and you just wanted him out of the movies and the 2 sequels. That's how I feel about the Batman Who Laughs. He's not even the Batman Who Laughs anymore. He's Batman Dr. Manhattan that's turned into a shade.
Yeah. Two characters that are really breaking out I'm seeing right now. Obviously the Robin King. He's fucking hilarious. One that's kind of off a lot of people's radar that to me has been throughout Snyder's run, just one of the treats has been Jarro. Snyder started off, as a legendary Batman writer. And then he did his Death Metal thing, and he kind of started writing the Justice League. And then he had the No Justice series where Starro dies. And then a piece of Starro is now attached to Batman and wants to be Batman's sidekick, wants to be Robin. And he's kind of got almost a friendly Damian Wayne type personality. But
he's kissing him. Oh, Damian would never kiss Batman.
Jarro's just delightful, man. I think he is one of the breakout characters. It's Justice League number 10 of Snyder's run for his first appearance. That's an undervalued key. If you're at your local comic shop, go through the back issues and maybe snag a Justice League 10 yet. I usually have a good sense of man on.
Do you think he might be like the baby Yoda of Dark Knight's Death Metal?
I think in Death Metal, now we're getting dark versions of everybody. So now we're going to probably get a dark version of Jarro, and that is probably the door in which Starro is reborn. I don't know. But I like Jarro. I think he's been pretty fun.
So that's what you've liked. I want to talk about something that I have liked. and it has everything to do with Greg Capullo. I imagine Scott Snyder had a little bit of direction with this, is that we're seeing this like destroyed universe. Multiverses are dying every day. All the heroes, Batman, Superman, all the heroes in DC Comics, they're all disheveled. Superman's been infected with the anti-life equation and he's all scarred up, and Batman and all the JSA characters are all weathered and worn, and everyone looks like they've just been beat up, except for Wonder Woman, who looks like an absolute angelic figure within the comic book. And I absolutely believe that is by design, because she is kind of like, when you see that first cover and she's got the halo and the wings kind of coming off of her, I think that it's all by design, but she absolutely looks beautiful. One of my favorite interpretations of Wonder Woman, the way she stands out, you can tell that she is like the beacon of hope within the DC universe, within Dark Knight's death metal. I think that visually it is portrayed very effectively by Greg Capullo.
I agree. Greg Capullo is the saving grace of this series. I mean, all right, Scott designed these characters, with Greg, but it's a visual treat. Looking at the art is far more pleasurable for me than reading this book. The first guy who bought this book on Tuesday cracked it open, showed it to his friend, and they both said at the same time, "Fucking awesome!" I mean, people are digging it, man. And I agree with Wonder Woman.
Obviously, going forward, Perpetua is destroying multiverses. Superman and Batman and Wonder Woman have to go into the Dark Multiverse and start saving these worlds. So Perpetua will lose power. They need to get anti-crisis energy to power up Wally West so he can eventually go toe-to-toe with her. But obviously, you do have the wild card being, he's not the Batman who laughs. He's the Shade Batman guy. But now we have another wild card enter the game at the very end of this latest issue. It turns out we find out what the death metal tie-in is all about, and it's Lex Luthor is still alive. He's been betrayed by the Batman Who Laughs and Perpetua, and he's collecting these death metal rocks so he can get his ultimate revenge. A
new magical metal.
Yes.
This is the first time we've seen death metal. It's yet another magical metal that we're introducing to this whole thing. I don't know how I feel about the metal being introduced into the Batman mythos, and that Batman can heal and Joker can heal, and I don't know, that Dionysium. I think I might have a problem with that in the entire Batman mythos. I mean, Batman used to just be a human being who's the best that a human could be, human perfection going up against superheroes, and now he's essentially got a Wolverine healing factor now.
It certainly changes the stakes with the character. But kind of getting back to Lex Luthor, obviously he's very scarred up. He's got like the one little eye, on his normal head now. He was Apex Lex. He's been taken down a notch. But he's got a partner, and that's probably the best part of the story. I know you thought Starro, kissing Batman and wanting to be his best buddy. But Lobo was awesome when he was in that weird multiverse where it was like a cartoon multiverse, and he's destroying these little cartoon animals.
And it ain't that TV network dance version of Lobo either. It's Lobo. It's Simon Bisley.
The main man.
It's the main man. That's the best.
I really enjoyed that part when he's like sticking his hand in that stupid cartoon tree and ripping the metal out of it and reporting back to Lex Luthor. So there's a lot, like you said, there are so many moving parts here. My hope is at the end of this that all the Dark Multiverses are destroyed forever. The Source Wall is never spoken to again. Perpetua never comes back, and we just go back to the DC universe. I doubt that that's what's going to happen. I think there's going to be a Dark Multiverse moving forward. There was another interesting thing in here. I wanted your opinion on this. I almost forgot about it. So there is a point where Batside, the Batman Darkseid version, or Batman Darkseid mashup, who's on Batpocalypse or whatever, and he's torturing Superman because he's powering this machine, and they're like dripping him with this kryptonite, and he's getting dripped with anti-life and all this stuff as he's being tortured, and Mr. Miracle is like being made to watch. And it's mentioned by Batside, why do you think that in all the Dark Multiverse versus that Superman basically takes over the world, and he's like, well, because that's my greatest fear, that I can't control myself while trying to take care of everybody. I end up becoming like a dictator and controlling the world. What's interesting is, it's talking about dark multiverses. Is Injustice a dark multiverse?
I think Injustice is just one of the 52 DC worlds, isn't it? Isn't it one of the 50? Wasn't that one of the 52?
Well, it kind of made it sound like one of the hallmarks of a dark multiverse is Superman tries to take over the world, and that is the storyline of Injustice.
Yeah, maybe. That's kind of
had me thinking. I was like, is that a dark multiverse that when they beat this and everything goes back to normal and the dark multiverse is expelled, will there be no Injustice universe?
That's that Injustice coming out again. That could be a cool tie-in. You got me thinking of something too. Batman, Bat-Apocalypse action playset from McFarlane Toys, huh? With little torture Superman chamber. This metal is a Todd McFarlane Christmas toy catalog. That's what it is. All you're doing is reading a story about your future McFarlane action figures.
It's certainly a visual buffet. We know that DC Collectibles basically shut down shop when the DC bloodbath happened, and it is no more, and they're going to be licensing out those materials. So hopefully, maybe Todd McFarlane Toys can get their hands on that DC Dark Knight's death metal property and make some cashola off this, because he makes some cool stuff.
15 years ago at a Diamond Retailer Summit, I had overheard that DC Direct used to be, and DC Collectibles used to be notorious for shipping stuff late. And I had overheard somebody talking to somebody, a Diamond rep talking to a DC rep, saying 15 years ago, like, why do you guys have to manufacture these? Why can't you just license it out? Everybody has, have Todd McFarlane make your action figures, have Bowen make your fucking statues. I mean, I think that DC Direct, DC Collectibles is going to be better off. I mean, there are companies that specialize in making items. Why did they have to do it themselves?
Yeah, it's like Warner Brothers getting rid of their video game division. Like, you have all this media stuff. Do you really want to take on the added burden of developing all of your Arkham Knight games and your Harry Potter or whatever? I think they got a bunch of them out there. I think they got Walking Dead and all kinds of stuff.
I talked to somebody in Scholastic yesterday, and DC and Marvel are putting a lot of effort to go into that young adult graphic novel business. And this person thought that they're coming in at the end of a trend. Like, these guys saw a ton of money, and they're reacting to something that happened. They're coming in at the end of a movement. I think that it's not going to pan out the way that they think. There's a ton of people, when Dogman and those books got popular, there's a ton of companies that have been soliciting material. Like, those companies sell books, and then they sell sequential art books. There's a ton of people soliciting graphic novel books. They're entering a very crowded field at the end of trend.
Larry, it's like you're pumping up the channel. We've been talking about this for months now. In fact, Perch and I just had a conversation 2 days ago on the channel. Well, it's probably about 4 days when we put this video up, about how DC and Marvel are no longer trendsetters in the comic business. They are followers. They go and look where they think the market is heading, not predicting, but where other markets have been growing. They try to jump in and take advantage with their brand and their characters. They are no longer going to be the trendsetters in the comic book industry. Once somebody develops and booms up the the periodic comic business, floppy comics, they'll be coming over and trying to jump on that bone too, because they're just chasing the money now.
Mm-hmm. Good point.
All right, there. I think we talked about Dark Knight's death metal enough. Absolutely wonderful to look at.
It's
very convoluted.
It's an action figure catalog.
An action figure catalog is very convoluted. There's definitely some cool stuff in there. If I haven't liked it to this point, I'm probably this isn't the story for me. I'm definitely enjoying Deceased on orders of magnitude a larger scale than I am Dark Knight's death metal. But if the viewers are enjoying it, please let us know in the comments section below. We hope you are, because it sounds like a lot of people are buying these comics.
I'm enjoying it. Sales are great and looks great, and I don't know. I just don't understand the story, but I love it.